Thank you. As a result of the increasing tensions in the Middle East, this cabinet escalated to phase 1 of the National Crisis Plan this past Monday. Oil. In phases 1 and 2, voluntary demand-reducing measures are discussed, such as discouragement campaigns. And in phases 3 and 4, the measures even become mandatory in nature. Car-free Sundays, mandatory working from home, expanded environmental zones, a ban on diesel cars, 80 kilometers per hour on the highway, etc. So, the Cabinet's plan to solve this crisis is mainly focused on reducing demand. It is no coincidence that Minister of Housing O'Sullivan stated in her interview with The Guardian that we all need to start living a bit more frugally. That is the core value of this Cabinet: rationing, reduction of prosperity, and austerity. The Cabinet does not think from the perspective of the Dutch people, but from the perspective of the national budget. For example, the Cabinet stated that lowering the fuel excise tax by 10 cents would already cost €1 billion for the state. Amounts that are thrown away without a second thought when it comes to things that do not benefit the Dutch people at all. The Cabinet recently scraped together extra money from everywhere to be able to donate another €6 billion to Ukraine. Try explaining that to the hardworking Dutch people at the gas pump. In fact, the entire fuel excise tax could be abolished for that amount. In other words, for every litre that Dutch people fill up, 85 cents goes to Ukraine. Forget Cox Quarter, now we have Jetten's euro. If that money had stayed in the Netherlands, it could have been used to lower the excise tax. Lowered for the Dutch people. Take development aid, for example. You maintain a bottomless pit that should be closed as soon as possible. This year, more than €6 billion will go there as well. Keep that money here. Give it back to the Dutch people. Every week, 1,000 asylum seekers come to our country as well. This year, the entire asylum and migration budget amounts to €8.94 billion. With that, you could abolish the entire gasoline excise tax, almost the entire fuel excise tax even. Shall we put that to a referendum? Or whether people would rather have another asylum center nearby or cheaper gasoline at the pump? And there are plenty of other items in the budget that do not benefit the Dutch population, or even create extra costs, such as climate and nitrogen measures. But in view of the time, I won't go into that now. Chairman, it really doesn't have to be that difficult. If FVD were in the Cabinet, we would cut these kinds of pointless, extremely expensive expenditures. And this year, we would set the fuel excise duties to 0. That would mean a diesel price of 1.63, gasoline 1.21. That's what a government would do that puts its own people first. I'm curious whether the minister is willing to take these steps. Yes, because if you're creative and have a warm heart for the Dutch people, you can come up with many more solutions. You can find them. The whole debate is now about limiting demand, but it should be about expanding supply. The energy issue is also not limited to fuel. The gas price has almost doubled compared to the end of last year. That's why I want to know from the minister whether the Cabinet is finally willing to resume gas extraction in Groningen. To reduce our energy dependence, of course with generous compensation for the people of Groningen. And I also want to know whether the minister is willing to start an investigation into oil extraction off the coast of Saba, after all, a Dutch municipality. Various scientific articles estimate that there is an oil field there the size of 500 million barrels. Finally, I'm curious whether the minister has any more ideas about expanding the fuel reserves. Instead of rationing and redistributing the existing supply, Chair, we need to stop helping the whole world. Stop thinking in terms of rationing, stop increasing the burden. It is time to put the Dutch people first again. Thank you.